Greetings and welcome back for another dose of Dude's Comic Book Goodness. I'm Jason and this is my weekly video where I review the books that I picked up this week. Also share with you the good stuff that I found in comics this week, and usually there'll be a review of the latest episode of Arrow. However, here in the UK, no new episodes till February, so no Arrow review this week. However, that makes it, that's not a bad thing, that's a good thing because it means plenty of room for my reviews as I picked up 10 books this week. Originally it was going to be more, but 3 books didn't come out because there was some kind of distribution problem, so they're going to come out next week. I don't know if that affects the whole of the UK or just my part of the UK, but Avengers World and Captain America don't come out till next week. But I did end up picking up 10 books, 3 from Dark Horse Comics, which has got to be a record. I don't think I've ever bought that many Dark Horse Comics in 1 week. Marvel Comics, we've got 2 from them, and we've got 3 from DC Comics. So without further ado, let's get into those reviews. So first up this week we have BPRD Hell on Earth issue number 115. Oh well, I just love being able to say issue 115. It's amazing the things you become nostalgic for, but so many series these days don't make it into the 20s, let alone into the hundreds. So it just seems so cool having a book that has a number in that high. Anyway, the reason this isn't a book I usually pick up. The reason I picked it up this week, after seeing CDC Amp's review on it, made it sound really intriguing. I picked this book up twice before, but it's always at the wrong time. I've always enjoyed it, but it's kind of been at a time where I'm trying to drop books, so it's because it's a book I just started picking up, it's always one that gets cut. But I've always enjoyed it, and I've kind of gone back to it now. Now seems to be a good time, not just story-wise to jump on board, but also for me, with the number of books I'm buying, it's a good time to kind of try this out again. I loved it. I blooming loved this book. Much like Mr. CDC Amp said, it's like it pulls no punches, and it doesn't. There are some parts that are really brutal, and the whole book kind of has this horror movie kind of vibe where you're on the edge of your seat, not knowing what's going to happen. But it's really cool. Basically, the gist of the story: these monsters have been unleashed across the globe, and the BPRD have teamed up with their Russian counterparts, and they're going to go into New York, and nobody's gone into New York since this all happened a year ago. So, you know, they're not looking for survivors, they're looking to see how the land lies there. So these 2 teams go in, and we kind of follow them and see what they discover and what kind of state New York's in. Fantastic cliffhanger that just had me eager for the next issue. And all in all, like I say, I just really love this book. If you like your horror movies, I think you'll enjoy this, because it has that whole kind of vibe where you're on the edge of your feet. What monster's going to jump out, or what horrors are they going to see next? But yeah, really good book. Definitely jumping on board this one. BPRD Hell on Earth issue number 115 gets 5 stars. So next up this week we have Abe Sapien issue number 9. This is set in the same world as the BPRD, but in a different part of that world. You don't need to read the 2 books. They're not kind of connected in that way that you need to read both of them. You could read either one of them and you enjoy the story all the same. But I just so enjoyed the BPRD, I wanted to take a bigger look into this world. Abe no longer remembered the BPRD. He's off on his own now, and he kind of enters the town, and there's some strange things going on in this town. He meets kind of like the chief, the head policeman there, and he kind of takes Abe to help, you know, to solve this thing with these horses that have got these kind of things that are growing out of them, and Abe says we need to burn these. So like you're kind of following Abe, and there's it for me again, it had a very kind of horror movie kind of vibe to it, as you've got this small town and the locals, and some of the people seem to be a bit welcoming, some of the people seem to be a bit strange. The story builds up really nice. You know something really strange has gone on in the town from when Abe arrived there, and to me it seems like the policeman thinks Abe has done this thing, and he's looking at taking the Abe down, but there's other people behind this. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed this. It felt a very accessible kind of book, in why you felt that there was history there in the book, and there were things that you'd missed out on. At the same time, it didn't kind of and stop you enjoying the story, and it didn't make the story difficult to follow. So I think it worked out really well. I really enjoyed the book. I think I'm gonna. This is part one of a three-part story, this issue, so I'm definitely going to pick up the other parts and make a decision then about the future. But I really like this. I like the whole horror movie kind of vibe and the accessibility of it, and I give Ape Sapien issue number 9 5 stars. So yeah, next up we have Baltimore, Chapel of Bones, issue number 1. This is a two-part story. I'd never read this before. It's connected to the whole Mignola verse kind of books which feature BPRD and Abe Sapien, but this one's set in the past. This one's set in 1919, and this issue was a very great jumping on point because the way the structure of the story, it's these three characters meeting up. They've been sent a letter by Lord Baltimore to meet up and to meet him somewhere, and it kind of like how the book is structured. You get all the history of who Lord Baltimore is and how these people know him and everything. So you get a lot of history and it fills in a lot of stuff. There's some fantastic like twists and turns as the story goes on, and you don't see like Lord Baltimore really to the end. But it's a great book in kind of, if you, like for me, I'd never read this book before. And it was a great book for me to jump into because it gave me a sense of who the character is and his history and his past. So in that way it was brilliant. The colouring in this book is really exceptional. They use a lot of dark tones so that when you get those rare moments of colour, it really is effective and really is striking. Again, it has that kind of horror movie kind of vibe to it that I think all of these books seem to have. But yeah, if this is my first taste of Lord Baltimore, and I'm definitely looking forward to the second part of this story, and will definitely looking to get in the previous issues of this book. And I give Baltimore, Chapel of Bones, issue number 1, 5 stars. So the first of the books this week that came out this week, we have FF number 16, which is the final issue. Much like the last few issues, Scott Lang, the Ant-Man, really comes into his own once again this issue, and I'm really grown to like the character, and it's a shame they only really started kicking into high gear his character in the last few issues. I love the resolution of what happens with Doctor Doom, and because the main thing here, we get the showdown between Ant-Man and Doctor Doom, as Ant-Man wants revenge for Doom killing his daughter. So I really loved where this ended up with Doctor Doom. I thought that was really cool. We have a nice backup, similar to the backup we got last week in Fantastic Four, but it shows the opposite angle from a lot of these conversations. So rather than seeing She-Hulk and the Thing chat, we get to see the Moloids watching them chat and what the Moloids are saying. I really enjoyed this issue. I thought it was really cool. Really great way to leave off on a series. It felt like you had a resolution and an end. I'm gonna miss like characters like Bentley and the Moloids. I'm really gonna miss. And I've really grown to really enjoy Mark Aldridge's art, but yeah, they capped it off with a great finish to the series, and I give FF issue number 16 5 stars. So next up we have Batman and Two-Face issue number 27, and I think you could very easily make an argument that this is probably the best Batman book out at the moment, as this was another really strong issue. This story, with each chapter, I'm just getting more and more into this story. I like that each issue we get another piece of the puzzle, we get another piece of the past, of the history between Two-Face and McKillen. And so as well as seeing them in the present and why they hate each other so much in the present, we get in a bit more on that. I really like Two-Face as a character. I find him really interesting. The whole honor thing with that he'll do whatever the coin says. That you know, that's the thing with him. Yes, I do what the coin says. So if the coin says kill you, I'll kill you. If the coin says let you go, I'm going to let you go. And I think that kind of sense of honor makes him an interesting character and not your standard villain. And I really like the team up and how the direction the story's going in. The art, once again, I thought was great. And yeah, just all the way around, this was a really fine book. If you like Batman, you owe yourself to pick this book up. And I give Batman and Two-Face issue number 27 5 stars. So next we have Batman issue number 27, and it continues the Year Zero story arc. In previous issues, my one kind of big problem was I didn't understand why Batman was going after this serial killer, that Dr. Death, and not dealing with the Riddler. The Riddler's put Gotham in a blackout. You'd think that would be his top priority, and I kind of had a bit of a problem with why he's going after this serial killer when he should be concentrating on the stopping the Riddler. But this issue at least connects all the stories together, so kind of brings the Riddler back to the forefront. And I liked that, but I still feel Batman should have been dealing with the Riddler anywho. Once again, this issue, there's a great scene with Batman and Gordon, and Jim Gordon, that steals the book. That I think is the greatest moment in the book. As like kind of last issue set up that Jim Gordon was a bit of a dirty cop, and this issue we get the other side of that story, the other perspective, and I found that really interesting. I found that was definitely the strongest moment in the book. I like how they're tying everything together with the Riddler, and Alfred once again gets some great dialogue. But this story is beginning to feel a bit long now, especially because Batman hasn't been dealing with the Riddler, and you feel that a lot of the stuff in this issue that comes down on Batman wouldn't have if he'd have gone and dealt with the Riddler first. But I thought this was a lot better, even though the story is feeling a bit long, and I give Batman issue number 27 5 stars. Next we have X-Men issue number 9. I enjoyed this issue. I like the team, the X-Men team, and I like this whole thing of Lady Deathstrike setting up her sisterhood who are going to kind of go up against the female X-Men. I like how that's working out. We see the return of Archaea in this one, and my problem with Archaea is she just seems too big of a villain. The X-Men managed to beat her last time, but now, she's like a virus who can kind of control machines and take over people. And it's like, okay, she's got all this power. How are the X-Men supposed to beat her? And I think part of the problem with event comics these days is the big events. Is that it used to be in your regular comics, the threat would be you'd have to defeat a villain. But the threats have escalated so much now, like this villain Archaea, that when you come to the big events, how much higher can you take it? When the threats are so big in the regular monthly issues, how can you have something that's so big that it takes a whole universe to deal with it, or a whole world, or all these heroes to come together? And I think that's probably a big problem of why events are struggle so much to be as captivating as they used to be, is because the sense of peril in the regular books is so amplified now that it's just really difficult to have a threat that's bigger. So yeah, I have a bit of trouble seeing how they're going to beat her. And this issue, they are one step behind all the way, so it's going to be interesting how they catch up. This is going to be my last issue. It's not because the book isn't good, it's just I feel I can wait and read it on the Marvel Unlimited app rather than buying it monthly. But yeah, it was still a good issue and I enjoyed it. It's just there were the kind of parts of the story I did have a problem with. But I give X-Men issue number 9 4 stars. So next up we have Trinity of Sin, Pandora, issue number 7. Features the next part of the Forever Evil Blight storyline. This issue, Constantine and his gang are going to go and take on Blight, and this is going to be the final battle. As you'd expect, it's a much more Pandora-centric issue, as she's kind of like questioning who she is and why she's here. And we kind of get a big resolution, and you get this sense that everything that's happened to her, all the punishment and everything, has to be prepare her to get her ready for this moment against Blight, which I really like, that whole sense of a bigger story here. I like what Ray Fawkes has done with this book the last 2 issues. Still don't know if after the Blight story I'm going to pick it up, but I think they're making the character more interesting than she was initially. Also, what I really like about the book is, while it is the next part of the Blight storyline, and that's really picking up now, that I thought Blight started off strong, it went down a bit, but now it's coming back strong again. But what I really like about the book is, while yes, it's the next part of the Blight storyline and that does get pushed forward, at the same time it does push Pandora's personal story forward as well, which I liked as well. I thought that was a really nice balance that they pull off. So if you're just a fan of the book and the character, you could read it and it still very much carries on her story that you've been following, but at the same time, if you're reading it for the Blight storyline, it pushes that story. So I think they've got a nice balance here. We have two artists on the book, which initially is a bit jarring, just because they're two very different artists. But once you kind of get your head around that they are using them for different moments with this character, there's some very internal moments with Pandora, and they use one artist for that, and then the battle and everything that's going on in the real world, we kind of get another artist for that. And once you kind of get that, it works, but initially it is jarring. But all in all, I'm liking what they're doing with the book. I give Trinity in Pandora, issue number 7, 4 stars. So next up we have Justice League issue number 27. This features the latest crossover with Forever Evil. It's a tie-in issue, and what I've liked about Justice League is while its own story has kind of pretty much stopped, it has been a great book that's been adding a bit of depth to some of the characters in Forever Evil. So if you're enjoying Forever Evil, this is kind of an essential pickup because it really adds a bit more depth. The last few issues we've had the origin of different characters from the crime syndicate. This issue we return to our heroes and we see what's been happening with Cyborg. There's some really nice touching moments between Cyborg and his dad, and I think the new look Cyborg just looks awesome. We get the Doom Patrol in the beginning of the book, which kind of is a bit jarring in that it feels like we've missed an issue somewhere, the way they're introduced. And I don't know if they've popped up in another book, but it does feel like we've missed something somewhere. And while I think these characters weren't meant to be long term, they're just here to introduce the concept of the Doom Patrol, so the proper team can get introduced later. But still, it felt like I'd missed something, which, you know, kind of hurt the issue for me. The art in here is really great. Like I say, love Cyborg's new look. And all in all, if you've been enjoying Forever Evil, this is a book you need to be picking up. And I give Justice League issue number 27 4 stars. And finally this week we have Wonder Woman issue number 27. One of my favourite books out right now, and this issue doesn't disappoint. It's not so much a paying off issue, that this is one where it's building. A lot of the stories are kind of building here. We've got Dio and Zola, and you know he's got something in mind, so you kind of what's going on there. We've got Cassandra's trying to find a way to get into Olympus so she can rescue the firstborn. You've got Wonder Woman wants to find Zola, but her and Hermes can't find her, so Wonder Woman has to go to a former enemy for help. But for me, the star of the issue were the scenes between the firstborn and Apollo, which are just tremendous. And for me, the actual cliffhanger they put in here, I felt was a bit weak, and I felt it would have been much better, the cliffhanger we get with Apollo and with firstborn, if that had been our final cliffhanger. I think would have worked much better. I'm really looking forward to see the resolution of that next issue. But yeah, this was another really strong issue. But like I say, a lot of the stories are building here, but I still really enjoyed this. And I think probably this was a good place to jump on if you want to try the book, because like I say, it's where things are beginning to build. But I still give this issue, Wonder Woman issue number 27, I still give it a big massive 5 stars. Well, alright everyone, you have reached the good stuff. Yes, that's right. You've survived the reviews, and now I'm going to share with you the good stuff. The biggest good thing this week was my birthday. I want to send out a big thank you to everyone who wished me happy birthday on Facebook. It was really nice that people took the time to wish me happy birthday, and I didn't expect that, so that was really cool. But I want to spend a especially massive thank you to Michael Moore for just being so awesome, dude. It was really brilliant of you to like take the time to kind of wish me a big happy birthday. So I really appreciated that and draw it to people's attention, and other people wish me a happy birthday from that. So to Michael Moore, you're awesome, dude, and a big thank you for that. For my birthday, of course, some of the things I got, there was some geeky goodness. I got Wolverine, which I will be doing a review. I know I've still got to do a review of Man of Steel, and I'm still in two minds whether or not to do a Star Trek Into Darkness review as well. But I definitely will be reviewing this bad boy with the Wolverine, so look for that soon. I also got Skyfall, the last James Bond film. Really like James Bond. It's completed my collection now. I've got all of them on DVD. I don't think I'll do a review for this because it's not comic book related. But I am in the mood for a bit of James Bond after reading and really enjoying Velvet. So for that, my missus, my wife, she got me a Doctor Who box set, which is really cool. Ace Adventures. I think this came out last year. I think this did. 2 stories I've not seen. I must have watched them when they was on TV at the time, because it was the time I was watching the Doctor. But 7th Doctor isn't my favourite era of Doctor Who, but being a completist, I want to collect all of it. So I'm looking forward to seeing these. Maybe they're not as bad as I recall. Next up, also from my wife, I got the Doctor Who Vault, celebrating 50 years of Doctor Who, showing you all the different merchandise they bought out over the years. So that's really cool. One of the things I said for my birthday, I really hoped that I'd get enough money to buy a DVD that was coming out Monday, and I did, and so I got it. Doctor Who, the Moon Base, from the 2nd Doctor era of Doctor Who, and features my favourite monsters, aliens, enemies of Doctor Who, the Cybermen. They've always been my favourites, so I'm really looking forward to getting this one, so I was chuffed I had enough. But also I had a bit more money left over, and while I was picking that one up, I saw something else and I picked it up. It is Injustice Gods Among Us Ultimate Edition. I don't really usually play beat-em-ups. I don't know if WWE games count as beat-em-ups. I buy WWE every year, bit of a wrestling maniac. But as for beat-em-ups, I don't usually play. I like them, I'm just not no good at them. I can never get all the combos going. So yeah, I enjoy them, but I'm never that good. But I figured I'd have a go at this one, and I'm glad I did. It's a really good game. The different modes you've got on it are brilliant. You know, you've got a story mode, which kind of links the fights with story, which works brilliantly for superheroes, because so many times in comics that you have so many fights. That the comics just really fit well into that kind of thing of story then fight, story then fight. But then you've got other game modes where there's a Star Labs one where you do different missions. Sometimes it's just hitting certain combos, or sometimes you have to beat a certain character. You have like straight up battles where you're just straight up fighting different characters and you have to go through a bunch. But it's really good. You get loads of different outfits for each character. This game has 6 new characters on it. You've got Lobo, Batgirl, Scorpion from the Mortal Kombat series, General Zod, Martian Manhunter, and Zatanna are all the new characters on this. But all in all, I just really love this game. I'm really pleased I bought it. I've had a lot of good fun on that. Not very good at it, but it's still a lot of fun. Another thing this week that I found that I really enjoyed is a cartoon series called Young Justice. Like I say, I've not been reading DC that long. Only really the New 52 really got me into DC, but I've really been enjoying this Young Justice, and I've watched the first 5 episodes now, and so far it's been really great. You've got Superboy, you've got Miss Martian, you've got Robin, you've got Aqualad and Kid Flash, and Speedy occasionally shows up. But it's been really good and I've really enjoyed it, so I'm looking forward to watching the rest of that. They've been showing it on Cartoon Network. I think they started from the first episode, so I decided, I set it every day to record it, because it comes on in the morning when I'm at work, or in the morning when I'm coming home from work. So either who, but I'm really enjoying that. I think that's enough good stuff for today. I will be back next week. Hopefully it will be up again on Friday, my video due to comic book goodness. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give me that big thumbs up. It's always cool to see people have enjoyed the video. Like I say, I'll be back. Next week was going to be a medium week comic book wise, but because those 3 books are going to be put over, it's going to be about 12 books I'll be picking up. So it'll be another big one next week. But thank you very much for watching. I've been Jason. This has been Dude's Comic Book Governance. Bye for now.